So, March 24th, so I had this meeting this morning concerning the new referral business that I am going to try to, put together. I go talk to this gentleman at this real estate brokerage that I talked to yesterday. So he brings me in the building, introduces me to all of the other, the realtors that are there, managers, director of operations, blase. Go in and he introduces me, and we're just chit-chatting a little bit right there, and the first thing that I notice is that in my opinion, none of these people are really very good at just keeping general conversation going. Like, in the first few seconds of the conversation, there were a bunch of spots. When I first started interacting with them, I let them kind of lead the conversation and, just kind of follow with my responses to the things that they said. And there were a bunch of times when they kind of just let the conversation dwindle and go off into these awkward silences. And at that point, I was like, okay, enough of this, because these awkward silences are going to kill the vibe in this room. So I took control and started leading the conversation in different areas. People tend to want to talk about the last person a lot, and I try to steer the conversation away from that. And so we had our chit chat, and that was one of the first things that I noticed, is that a lot of these people that have higher positions in this brokerage are not very good at just general conversation. So we proceed a little bit further. This dude is showing me around the building, showing me different meeting rooms. They said the brokerage is pretty much a year old in that area. They have places all over the country. They've been around for a while, but they just opened up a branch in my city about a year ago. And that team has been assembled for about a year now, and it's growing at a reasonable pace. It doubled in the first 6 months, and then they grew again by 50% in the second 6 months, the second half of that year. So we get through the tour, and we go into this gentleman's office where we have a meeting, and he left the door open. That always is something that sticks out to me, leaving the door open versus closing the door when it's a meeting between two people. Do they want everybody outside of the office to hear us talking? And why? Those questions are never answered, but it's always something that I wonder. So as we're talking, gentleman is he just kind of starts going over, the different tools that he uses at that brokerage to get the job done. The CRM, the website builder, different ways that they, different tools that they use for marketing, things like that. And it was a very assumptive conversation. The way that he spoke to me was sort of just assuming that I would be coming to work there full time as a realtor. And that was something that he really had trouble getting past, that he couldn't really see past at that time, was just come and work for us. I would rather just have you come work for us full time. And that's kind of how he was explaining things to me. in the sense that I would be working there, what it would look like if I were to work there full time and use their tools. And when he was explaining the tools to me, a lot of them looked very, average. Average. There's really nothing special about it. The fees were not, I guess they weren't crazy, but the coaching guy himself was paying for outside services. So, in my mind, that shows a little bit of a lack, even more so than just paying for outside services, was that everybody in that office wasn't being encouraged to use one specific one that worked really well. Everybody was kind of still just, he was still just kind of experimenting, I guess. And another thing was the assumptive language that, I guess he didn't really close me. He didn't close me. I was waiting for him to close me. He just kind of danced around. He kind of just beat around the bush so much, and the interview went on for almost 2 hours. He had to cut it short because he had another appointment, but he never tried to close me. It just went on and on and on, beating around the bush, and I don't know if that's how he does I'm guessing that that's how he does most of his sales, is that he'll just beat around the bush all the way to the finish line, and in my opinion, my style of doing things is not that way. I would rather close, I would rather him have said something to me like, I think, based on what you told me, I really think that you would be a great fit for our brokerage and our program. I think you'd be perfect for the program, and I think that we should bless this relationship with a signature, and that we should get on down the road to our outcomes. Yeah, I really wish, I was waiting for him to close me, and it never happened. We had to agree to meet again to really get to, and I asked him, what would it look like to just be able to come in and give a referral? If I have a client who, if I have a client whose personality would fit with another certain type of personality, could I come to you and ask you to delegate this sale or this client, this house? For example, if there was there's a widow who is downsizing. Her husband died. She doesn't need this big, huge house. And so she's trying to sell her house and buy another one that is smaller so that she could retire in her old age, after her husband died. That type of person is going to mesh a lot better with, or fit a lot better with, a more soft-spoken, sympathetic, caring toned woman. Would she interact better with a much more sympathetic and caring woman, as opposed to a pit bull salesperson who's going to come in with the tight negotiations and the very strong-willed and upfront personality? She's not going to get along so well with that. There's an obvious personality difference, and she would just mesh better with a certain type of personality. I asked him, could you be someone that I could come and give you this client and say, this client needs this particular type of realtor? Can you provide me with that person? And he said yes, but I could kind of see in his behavior that he wouldn't be super comfortable with handing away a client to somebody else in his office. I don't think that he would be okay with that. So the only thing that he was able to wrap his mind around was me coming to work there full time with him as a coach. And at this point, it's the only meeting that I've been on with a person, so I can't just outright tell him no, I don't think it's going to work out. I gotta kind of keep him on the hook in case that's my only avenue. But I did come home and make calls to another brokerage to, I guess, interview another person, somebody who would be a little bit. I want more of a closer. I want somebody who doesn't necessarily just assume agency and beat around the bush all the way to the finish line. I want somebody who's actually going to say, who's actually going to ask for the business, because one of the tactics that I am just excellent at, I'm really skilled at, is the assist. Getting the assist in a sale. Basically setting somebody up mentally and verbally for a sale, and I'm trying to just pass them along so that another person can come in with a slam dunk. Another person can come in and close the deal, basically. And I need a partner for that. And while I'm talking to this guy, I asked him about probate attorneys, because in probate, when someone dies, there's a lot of times there's a property sale, and I asked him how if he's ever experienced any of those, because I think he mentioned something about it, and that's why I asked. And he said that all of those relationships just kind of happen organically. You just kind of happen to stumble upon a probate case at one point, and you just start talking to the probate attorney and develop a relationship over time and handle his real estate sales that way. And I have identified a need in the market. Save these people time on trying to build relationships for the sake of getting business done. I could save people that time and just match them up with a person who provides that service. The type of person that they would want to provide that service for them. So, keep them on the hook. I got somebody that's supposed to be calling me back this afternoon. I'll set up another meeting, and I'm sure I'll still hear from the one lady I talked to yesterday. So, yeah, going through the motions. Just wanted to keep a log.